Hello everybody, and welcome back to AIdol. So, last time, we went and hung out with Aiko, tried to ask her if she had any leads. She did not. But then we had an idea, so we went to the cafe because we thought Yuichiro might be the you we're looking for, and he said no. But then, the PR team, minus Kenji, who's dealing with his own shit right now, came in because they had been tracking the tablet, and Ryoichi recognized Yuichiro, so maybe we do have the right guy. Let's see how this goes. The five of us, Yuichiro, Ryoichi, Sayuri, Hideki, and I, are sitting around a wooden table in the corner of the cafe. The cafe is small, and the tables weren't designed for parties bigger than 4, so it's a bit of a tight squeeze. Hideki's knee is pressed against mine, and he apologizes with a flustered face whenever we touch. It would be kind of endearing if I didn't feel so tense. It's a good thing Yuichiro had the foresight to flip the sign on the cafe door to closed before we conversed, to ensure we don't get interrupted at an inopportune moment. Said inopportune moment being the reveal that Sato Yuichiro really is Aiko's head programmer. You are the guy! Yuichiro looks away awkwardly, scratching his cheek with one finger. He seems even more uncomfortable than Hideki. Alright, fine, that's right. I am, or was, rather, Aiko's head programmer. But I'm not anymore. Now I just work at this cafe. That's why I'm here, but... Yuichiro glances at Ryoichi. Why are you here? We came here to get the tablet back. We had no idea this was where you worked. It was quite the coincidence. Huh? Do you three know each other? We know one another very well. The three of us go way back. Ryoichi is exaggerating. We're on first-name terms, but we are hardly close friends. We simply happen to work in Lyric together, though Yuichiro worked in a different department. How cold, Sayuri! Don't dismiss our relationship so casually. What of all those Christmas parties we spent getting to know each other? Really? From what I recall, all you ever got to know during those parties was a bottle of Choryu. Hey, don't be like that. We're pals, right? I don't know if that's a word I would use. Acquaintances, then? We know of each other. That's about it. Man. Ryoichi laughs and runs a hand through his hair. You're even colder than Sayuri. I apologize that I don't find your lackluster, half-hearted attempts at flirtation worthy of praise or merit. Ryoichi whistles. I'm getting roasted here. You can do it? Hang in there, Ryoichi. No, he deserves this. So, if you really are Aiko's programmer, why did you lie to me? Isn't it obvious? I didn't want you getting involved in all of this. Petty office drama? Ryoichi can be quite difficult to deal with. Hey, I resent that. See? In any event, even if I was Aiko's programmer once, I'm not right now. Like I said, this has nothing to do with me. You should drink your hot cocoa, by the way. I might be a third-rate programmer, but I pride myself on being a first-rate barista. It would be embarrassing if I hadn't picked up a few tricks of the trade over the last few months. I appreciate it, but I didn't come here to drink hot cocoa. I came here to ask you, no, implore you to fix Aiko. Hana, like I said, even if I wanted to, I can't. I don't work at Lyric. Aiko's files are classified information. You could get arrested for having that tablet, and I don't want a criminal record. On top of your existing criminal record, you mean? Ryoichi? Yuichiro shoots Ryoichi a withering look. Ryoichi returns it with an easy smile and a shrug of his shoulders. What are you talking about? You have a criminal record? Through no fault of my own. It sure sounded like it was your fault to me, buddy. That's what the president said, but it wasn't true. I did nothing wrong. Excuse me? I'm a little confused here. Right, I forgot. You joined Lyric after the whole debacle with Yuichiro, and the company kept it pretty hush-hush. Unlike Aiko's malfunction yesterday, it certainly didn't end up on the front page of any newspaper. Perhaps it would be better if you started from the top, Ryoichi. Nah, I'd rather not. It's a sensitive story. I think it requires a woman's touch. Unless you'd prefer to do the honors, Yuichiro? I have precisely zero interest in reveling in my sordid past. I'm sure Sayuri could sum it up more succinctly than me. Well then, let me see. I only know a few of the details, so it might not be entirely accurate. Sayuri clears her throat. Yuichiro joined Lyric 5 years ago. He was one of the pioneers of virtual reality idols alongside his co-worker Kazuki. The two of them worked on Aiko, Lyric's first virtual idol, together, though Yuichiro, with more experience, was the one in charge. The details of Aiko's origins were strictly confidential, of course. Lyric was worried rival companies would attempt to steal the blueprints. As such, the true identities of Aiko's assembly team were kept under wraps. Come to think of it, I'm breaking all kinds of confidentiality clauses merely telling you this. It's fine, I figured it out myself already. You really are a sharp girl. I could tell the moment I set my eyes on you. Just think, you would have gotten away with your lies and deception if it weren't for this meddling kid. Ryoichi? Sorry, couldn't help myself. Go on, Sayuri. Right. So, Yuichiro managed the Aiko project for 3 years. She was finally completed in August and then unveiled to the public. I'm sure you know this better than anybody, Hana, but she was an instant success. Her records sold out within minutes and her concerts were fully booked. She did a lot better than anybody had ever imagined. Yuichiro received a lot of praise for his close involvement in the project. Yuichiro is the reason why Lyric has enjoyed such success these last 2 years. Oh, stop it, Sayuri. You're flattering me. I'm doing nothing of the sort. I don't say things for the sake of saying them. I always tell the truth. She's right, you know. You haven't heard her fending off my advances before. She's brutal. Well, you deserve it. Ryoichi can be quite difficult to deal with. Heh, it's nice to know some things don't change. You haven't even had the pleasure of seeing him at the Christmas party after a few glasses of choryu. I'll look forward to it. Don't try and tank my reputation, Yuichiro. I'm the face of Lyric's PR team. And you're doing an excellent job of it, allowing headlines like this. Yuichiro reaches to the counter. He fishes up a crumpled newspaper and slaps it down on the table before us. To get printed. The newspaper stares back at me. It's emblazoned with the headline that caused me so much grief during breakfast. Scandal! Lyric's darling daughter, android poster girl Aiko, malfunctions on stage at local event. I bite my lower lip. Ryoichi, too, looks suitably cowed, for once. He laughs awkwardly, running a hand through his fashionable hair. That was just bad luck. Bad luck? A tiny oversight. You let Aiko break down on stage and you call it an oversight? Really? Come on, I'm not a member of the tech team. I'm not smart like you guys with your code and your numbers and your if-then statements. All I know is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And if it is broke, let it perform on stage anyway and hope that nothing bad happens? You got me. Yuichiro Tuts. You're the worst. I poured all this hard work into Aiko, and you ruin her reputation over something trivial like this. If you are quite finished assigning blame, I would like to finish the story. Hana and Hideki are still in the dark. Yeah. Of course. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Well, following Aiko's development, Yuichiro became very well respected within Lyric. He was the employee of the year, so to speak. He could do no wrong. He was involved in the development of a few other virtual idols following Aiko's success, Vespa and Naomi to name a few. Because of Aiko's revenue stream, Lyric even began to employ more regular idols, ordinary girls who they claimed they could transform into stars overnight. Girls like Yuko? Lyric has always financed real idols. It was a company that specialized in human idols long before it began its research into artificial intelligence. Unfortunately, they were never as popular or as profitable as Aiko. Aiko changed everything for us. It looked like everything was going well, but then a huge scandal happened. I am unclear on the precise details, given it was kept so quiet, but it seems Yuichiro was found guilty of leaking important, top-secret files. This breach of security was unacceptable, so Yuichiro was fired. Just like that? Just like that. After everything he did? Lyric's president is quite the imposing figure. If Yuichiro was not responsible for the majority of Lyric's success, he would have faced an even more severe punishment. The president made sure to impress that knowledge upon me. He told me I should be grateful. Grateful! As if I should be grateful he let me go, particularly when I did nothing wrong. You didn't? No, it was all a scam. I didn't leak those files. But you were one of the only people who had access to them. I don't understand who else it could have been. It was Kazuki! He had that thought before. He wanted Aiko to fail. It's him, it's all him. I have a few suspects. Not that it matters, I suppose. It's too late now. I've already been fired, and I'm legally required to stay away from the Lyric headquarters. It's over. So that explains why Yuichiro lied to me. It wasn't simply for my sake. He doesn't want to get dragged back into this conflict. To a certain extent, I understand how he feels, but it's not over. Excuse me? I said it isn't over. I grabbed the newspaper from the table and thrust it in Yuichiro's face. Look, Aiko's in danger. There's something wrong with her and she needs you to fix her. She doesn't need me. I'm sure it's a small bug that got out of hand. Another member of the tech team can handle it. Well, I wouldn't be so sure about that, actually. What? The tech team have been having problems with her for a while. Ever since you left, actually. It seems like somebody's been tampering with her files, but whoever it is did a pretty good job at covering their tracks. We were thinking, if there were any complications at Idol Fest, we might have to shut Aiko down. No. That's right. Sad but true. Nobody needs a virtual idol who can't perform. She'd be a waste of resources, worth less than the material used to make her. But you can't. You can't get rid of Aiko. We don't want to either, but if nobody at Lyric can fix her... I stare at Yuichiro, clasping my hands together. I can feel my heart pounding. Yuichiro, please! You're the one who made her. You might be the only one who can fix her. And I promised Aiko. I told her I would help. I have to help, but I can't do it on my own. Hana, I understand that you feel strongly about this, but like I said, it's not possible. I can't go back to Lyric. I don't want to. There are too many bad memories associated with that place. Like me during the Christmas parties, you mean? A brief smile alights on Yuichiro's face, but it vanishes within seconds. I just can't, Hana. Like Ryoichi said, I already have a criminal record. It would be too dangerous. But you said you didn't leak those files. I didn't. Then you need to prove your innocence. You can't clear your name if you sit here in this cafe for the rest of your life. Yuichiro shakes his head. I thought about getting revenge, of course. I was outraged, infuriated. I wanted nothing more than to strike back against Lyric. I built them up with my own 2 hands, and then they turned against me. They betrayed me. But that anger soon faded away. I realized something. What? My own powerlessness. I'm just one man. Lyric is a whole company. When it comes to a contest of he said, she said, might is always right. If Lyric have decided that I leaked the files, who am I to protest? There is no way for me to clear my name, and even if there was, the damage has already been done. I'm too old for all of this nonsense. I just want to spend the rest of my days in peace. Too old, he says. Ryoichi snorts. He looks unconvinced. You're younger than I am. Yeah, I was about to say, how old is he? He doesn't look that old. Then again, neither does Ryoichi, and he's apparently... He was in his 40s, right? Yes, well, you've always tried to pretend you're 10 or 20 years younger than you really are. He has no idea what it means to age gracefully. Stop that, you two. I'm only in my early 40s. You act like I have 1 foot in the grave already. There are decades left in me yet. Wait, what? You're in your 40s? Surprised. He still thinks he's a young man, Hideki. He wishes he was your age. Psh, I never waste my time wishing I was something I'm not. I'm happy being me. Sure, sometimes it's kind of stressful. He gestures towards the newspaper. But at the end of the day, it's not that bad. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I know who I am, Yuichiro, but who are you? Yuichiro glances away. He bites on his lower lip. You can play at being a barista all you want, but that's not where your true passions lie, I know. You talked to me a couple of times about Aiko when you were still in the process of building her up, and I've never seen anybody sound so enthusiastic. This is very emotional music that's playing here. But that was a long time ago. It isn't who I am now. Then why did you list your cafe as a virtual idol cafe? Excuse me? You say you're finished with idols. You don't want anything to do with them anymore. And if that was true, I'd understand. But you listed your cafe as an idol cafe. I already told you, that's for the business, I know. But I don't believe you. You listed your cafe as an idol cafe because, deep down inside, you still love idols. You still love Aiko. She's like a daughter to you, and you don't want her to get shut down. She doesn't want to get shut down either. She told me. What do you mean? I pull my phone out of my pocket and tap on the Paku Paku icon. Then I shift through my chat history with Heartsong. I scroll through the reams upon reams of messages we've been exchanging during the last week when she first found out my contact details. I noticed there's some inconsistency about the span of time here because in the last episode there was something that talked about it having been weeks, wasn't there? Anyway, I was skeptical at first. Anybody would be. I don't know if it's enough to convince Yuichiro, but if he's the one who programmed her, he should be able to tell. It's Aiko. It's definitely Aiko. Read the logs. You'll understand. Also, I'm noticing that Hana and Hideki have the exact same hair color, down to like the specific gradient used for it. New headcanon, they're siblings. I hand my phone over to Yuichiro. He looks suspicious, as well he might, but he accepts. His eyes flick from right to left as he reads through my conversations with Heartsong, his finger occasionally tapping against the screen as he scrolls down. Oh, what's this? A chat log? From Heartsong, huh? Now that sounds familiar. Heartsong. Yuichiro's fingers tremble. That was Aiko's name during the early development stages. The Artificial Intelligence Idol Project Beta Subject Number 1, Heartsong. Huh? I didn't know that. Me neither. Well, you wouldn't. This information wasn't released to the public. It was private. It was private, so how does this person know? Because it really is Aiko. She was messaging me over the last 2 weeks because she wanted to find you. She was scared and confused, and nobody at Lyric could help her. She wanted to see her programmer again, but she couldn't remember who you were. That sounds like something the president would do. I was in disgrace, after all. He didn't want Aiko to remember me. He didn't want her to contact me. All my ties with Lyric were severed, and even Aiko... I never forgot her, but she forgot me. But she didn't. She remembered. That's why she went through all these lengths to find you. She knew you were the only person who could fix her. But I can't. Come on, Yuichiro. I know you think I'm an idiot, and maybe I kinda am, but I'm at least smart enough to know this much. Ryoichi rests a hand against Yuichiro's shoulder. Is it supposed to be comforting? You're the right person for this job. But Lyric, they won't let me back in the building. Maybe not if you're on your own, but you're forgetting who I am. A flamboyant old man who doesn't know when to give up? That too. But I'm also the head of the PR department. I have some authority over there, and I can get you in. I'm sure of it. I don't know. Oh, come on. What have you got left to lose? This place brings back memories. Good memories, I hope? Just memories. Yuichiro sighs and shakes his head. I never thought I'd come back here. I never thought I'd want to, either. It's kinda imposing, huh? I'm inclined to agree. Though the Lyric headquarters are fairly humble as far as office buildings go, the numerous glass windows really give it a sleek, modern feel. The sunlight reflects upon the multiple panes of glass, making them shimmer. This is the place where Aiko was created, and I'm standing next to the person who created her. Sato Yuichiro. Alright, that's enough standing around. Let's go. Yuichiro takes a step forwards, his head held high. The four of us follow along behind him. Yuichiro is still dressed in the garb of a barista, but he walks in with such confidence it's impossible to doubt him. The automatic doors slide open, granting us entrance to Lyric's reception room. Security guards stand by the elevators to the left and right of the room. The desk, meanwhile, is manned by a very pretty receptionist with carefully applied makeup. I recognize her. It's the same clerk I met last week. Hello, and welcome to Lyric. I hope you have a nice day. Same to you, sweetheart. Ryoichi winks at her. The clerk's perfect smile falters for a few moments. Is she trying to hold back a small sigh? Ryoichi seems none the wiser. He nods to himself, smiling proudly. Yep, I've still got it. God. If by it, you mean an innate ability to make women cross over to the other side of the road when they see your face. Come Come on, Sayuri, don't be such a killjoy. There is no road. It was a figure of speech. Oh my, and I recognize you, of course, young miss. The clerk peers at me, her smile, though severely tested, now shinier than ever before. You do? Of course. You're the girl who came in here a while ago asking about any upcoming Aiko events, aren't you? Yes, you gave me a poster? I didn't think you'd recognize me. I always remember a face, and you were so very polite. I couldn't help but recall you. And yet... The clerk glances at Ryoichi. What are you doing with Mr. Kitamura? He didn't kidnap you, did he? Don't be like that, Kotomi. You know I'd never do anything cruel. Yes, well, forgive me if I don't trust you. I've had to deal with your pickup lines every single morning for the last 5 months. Aw, come on. You love it, really. I really don't. Woman, never satisfied. I don't know how Kenji managed it for so long. God. Anyway, Kotomi, I'd love to stay and chat, but we have business to attend to. With this girl? I'll make sure he doesn't do anything inappropriate, Kotomi. You have my word. Well, if you're with him, Sayuri, I'm sure you can keep him in line. And I'll do my best too. That's sweet of you, Hideki, but you're not the most imposing of people. If anybody can keep Kitamura in check, it's Sayuri. Ryoichi clicks his tongue against the roof of his mouth. Why are you talking about me like I'm some kind of criminal? I'm not like Yuichiro. Yuichiro's eyes darken. That's a low blow, and entirely uncalled for. Now, let's go. Yuichiro stalks on ahead. We follow him, Ryoichi mumbling mutinously under his breath the whole time, while Kotomi implores us to have a nice day. One of the security guards by the elevator gives Yuichiro a glare, but Ryoichi flashes his ID and says, "He's with me. Authorized access." The security guard ponders for a few moments, but Ryoichi's role as the head of the PR department wins out in the end. The guard sighs and stands to one side, arms folded. If anything goes wrong, Kitamura, I'm not going to be held responsible. Don't worry about it. I have it all under control. For your sake, you better. You're already in hot water. I know. Jeez, stop getting on my case when I'm trying to fix things. We step into the elevator and wait for a few moments, cramped together in awkward silence. Ryoichi tries to make small talk, but Yuichiro seems more interested in staring at the wall. His expression is inscrutable. I wonder, is he lost in nostalgia? Maybe he's thinking about the days gone by when he was still respected by Lyric and he didn't have to worry about being chased out like a criminal. No, not just like a criminal. He really is a criminal. Yuichiro taps one foot against the floor, anxious, unable to stand still. Not even Ryoichi's jokes are enough to disperse the heavy atmosphere. And we're here. The elevator dings. Our group steps out onto the 7th floor, the programming department apparently, or at least a portion of it. The corridors are lined with glassy windows. Sunlight streams in, illuminating specks of dust that drift lazily in the air. Blech, can I read? There's some recording equipment scattered around here and there. Maybe Lyric were busy setting up for some kind of photo shoot? A strange smell hangs in the air. It's a little different from the aroma of coffee that lingered in the foyer. Is it disinfectant? It kind of reminds me of a hospital. Huh, I never thought I'd miss the smell of this place. I certainly don't. I hate coming here. Well, excuse me for being sentimental. I did work here for almost 5 years. Wow. Hideki glances around the hallway with wide eyes. He looks impressed. I've never been on this floor before. I had no idea it was so bright? That's right! There are so many windows, and it's so light. It's kind of pretty. I can see my face in all these windows. The PR office, meanwhile, is falling apart. It's all favoritism. The programming department demands a far higher budget. The work done here is a lot more complex, and it requires seasoned professionals. Any idiot can work in PR. Sayuri coughs delicately. Well, maybe not anyone, but just one look at Ryoichi should prove my point. You hardly need to be a rocket scientist to deal with public relations. I suppose not. I wonder how he was able to become our boss. It's people skills, Sayuri, charisma, and confidence. And good looks don't hurt either. I'm more inclined to call it nepotism. Call it whatever you want, but I'm still your boss. Nepotism. Interesting. You might think I'm an idiot, Yuichiro, but I'm an idiot who was at least able to hold on to my job. Yuichiro looks at Ryoichi. Ryoichi looks back at him. Yuichiro breathes in. He clears his throat. He opens his mouth. And then... Alright, fine. Point taken. He shakes his head, and the tense atmosphere is dispersed almost instantly. I don't have enough time to argue with you. If Aiko really is in danger, I need to see her as soon as possible. A venerable viewpoint. Let's go. Right. Oh, and Hideki? Don't touch anything. We all know how good you are with technology. Some of the equipment here is rather expensive. If you break it, your life would no longer be worth living. Damn. We set off down the hallway. I spend much of my time glancing about, staring. I can't believe it. I'm inside the Lyric headquarters. I'm inside the place where they made Aiko. I'm so close to her, I can almost taste it. Or maybe that's just the strong scent of disinfectant in the air. Are you alright, Hana? I'm fine. To tell you the truth, I feel a little out of my element myself. I mean, I'm only an intern. Is it even alright for me to be in here? I hope I don't break anything. For your sake, Hideki, I hope you don't break anything either. Duly noted. I'm sure it will be fine. I'll keep an eye on you. Thanks, Sayuri. The corridor stretches on and on. I've only been walking for 20 seconds, but it feels like an eternity. My footsteps sound far too loud. They agitate my ears. I can hear my heart thumping. Can everybody else? We're almost there. Just a little further, and then... But Yuichiro's voice breaks off. He comes to a halt. One of the doors to our right has opened, and a man steps out. It's a man I haven't seen before, but my colleagues all seem familiar with him. You can't call them colleagues, Hana. Your companions. Even Hideki. Mr. Himura. This man, Mr. Himura, is tall and imposing, though a few inches shy of Ryoichi. His eyes are cold and hard, like shards of ice have been inserted inside his pupils. They grow colder and harder still when they settle upon Yuichiro. Yuichiro, what on earth are you doing here? Yuichiro doesn't waver. He replies without missing a beat. Aiko called for me. She said she was in trouble. Aiko? That's right, she was searching for me. In desperation, she sent messages to this girl's phone. He gestures towards me, even though that's in direct violation of her core personality code. Virtual idols aren't meant to share classified information with the general public. It's strictly forbidden. It's true. Aiko sought me out. She talked to me. She asked me to help her. She asked me to help her find her programmer, Yuichiro. But that isn't possible. Aiko shouldn't have been able to act outside her set parameters. You're forgetting who created her, Kazuki. Despite her sweet demeanor, she's always had a bit of a stubborn streak. Mr. Himura, or should I say Kazuki, opens and closes his mouth. For a few moments, he seems stuck for words. When he finally forces them out, they sound almost pained. But how could Aiko contact you? You were fired for gross misconduct, Yuichiro. All information pertaining to your identity should have been wiped from her hard drive. She was meant to believe I was her head programmer. She was reprogrammed to contact me whenever she had an issue, not send messages to an unrelated third party, especially not a young girl. I supervised her reprogramming myself. How could this have happened? It's quite simple, really. You didn't do a thorough enough job. Virtual idols aren't mere tools we can control. They have wills of their own. I crafted Aiko's personality, so I know. Even if you reprogram her, she won't lose what makes her Aiko. She'll never forget that she's my rebellious, hard-headed daughter, even if she forgets who I am. I suppose it's understandable that you would forget this, Kazuki. I was always the superior programmer. That's why I was the one in charge of Aiko's creation, not you. Kazuki grits his teeth together. And you've always held it over me, haven't you? This soundtrack. It's good. It's tense. I don't have anything to hold over you now. I was fired for gross misconduct, as you said, and you were able to remain here. Isn't that what you wanted? Now you don't have to share your success with anybody else. Kazuki takes a step back. The shards of ice in his eyes seem to have melted. He doesn't look angry anymore. Instead, he looks hurt. You think that's what this is about? You think I was jealous? Isn't that it? Isn't that why you framed me? Silence. And then... Ha 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 ha! No way! Ooh, this is getting interesting. Ryoichi. Ow! Sayuri gives Ryoichi's right ear a pinch. The head of the PR department winces. He's right, though. All right, fine. I see you bear some feelings of resentment towards me, Yuichiro, and after what I did, I don't blame you. But I was never jealous of you. I respected you. I looked up to you. Then why? Kazuki closes his eyes. His head hangs. I did it for her sake. I did it for Rei. Bruh. 2 years ago. The doll lay on the floor, its eyes closed. Its long lashes were matted together, its soft pink hair brushing its cheeks. It was the first creation to come from Lyric's artificial intelligence idol project. Heart Song. Though it looked undeniably female, Kazuki could not truly call it a her. It was nothing more than a hollow, empty husk, devoid of life. It looked human, but that was nothing more than a ruse. No human would be able to lie on the cold, hard floor for such an extended period of time, legs sticking out at such awkward angles. It would have been too uncomfortable. Heart Song, however, did not need to worry about such creature comforts because it was not human. It was something entirely different. Though Kazuki had helped oversee the production of this creature, he was more hesitant around it than anybody else. He knew, though others might not, that this shell, no matter how expertly crafted, was hollow. This is probably going to give me some trouble. in, like, editing and stuff, isn't it? We'll see. Even if it one day obtained life, it would not be real life. It would be a life created from chips and circuitry. Its neural pathways were composed of wires. It looked disconcertingly lifelike, but that only made its existence even more disturbing. Its hair had been harvested from a real human. This hair had been sewn into the creature's scalp, follicle by follicle, to create one of the most expensive and convincing wigs there was. Its individual eyelashes and eyebrows had been inserted into its skin one by one and sewn carefully in place. Its skin had been specially designed to flush about the cheeks, the nose, and the tips of the ears when it became too cold, with microscopic sensors embedded beneath its flesh. It did not look perfect. It was far from perfect. Its cheeks were round, its teeth were not evenly spaced, and its lips would chap in the cold. But that was what made it, in Yuichiro's words, human. Humans were not perfect, after all. But this falsely constructed facsimile only made Kazuki distrust the creature even more. If it had looked perfect, like some of the other virtual idols produced by rival companies, Kazuki would have minded less. Perfection, in all its unconvincingly mask-like beauty, is so transparently constructed one could never mistake it for something natural. That was not the case with Heartsong. Heartsong was unnerving in its imperfections. It was so close to what it attempted to mimic that it had almost ceased to be mere mimicry. Kazuki was anxious. What would happen when it was brought to life, and he would be forced to consider it not as it, but as she? Do you know what name you want to give it? Yuichiro pondered, still fussing over the doll. Today was to be the fateful day. The fruits of the programming team's efforts during the last year and a half were finally going to pay off. At long last, they were going to bring their first test subject to life. It was like something from Frankenstein, Kazuki mused, though Heartsong hadn't been crafted from dead bodies. Just silicon, synthetic fibers, electrical chips, and wires. Heartsong was more sanitary than its gothic horror counterpart. Cuter, too. Too cute. I'm not sure, to be honest. I've never been very good with names. You mean you've been working on this project for over a year and you still don't know? I'm not a family man, unlike you. I have no prior experience. It was a fair comment. Unlike Kazuki, Yuichiro didn't have children. He'd never been in the position of bestowing a name upon a new life form. Apart from maybe a pet goldfish. That wasn't really the same. How did you decide on Rei's name, anyway? It was Itsuki's idea. It's written with the character for elegance. Heh, I'd say that suits Rei perfectly. It's a shame Itsuki isn't here now. I think women have more of a knack for names than men. If Itsuki was here, she'd say that's a generalization. Stop shirking your duties, Sato. Right. Yuichiro laughed again. Kazuki wondered whether it was a nervous tic. Being the one in charge of Heartsong's creation, he had more to lose than anybody else. If this was a failure, his reputation at Lyric would be in ruins. Lyric had poured oh my god, can I talk? Lyric had poured a good deal of time and money into researching and creating Heartsong, and they wanted results. Failure to comply could have some rather nasty consequences. A name, huh? I thought I should worry about that after she's opened her eyes. That was a crucial difference between Yuichiro and Kazuki. Right from the beginning of the project, Yuichiro had always, a touch stubbornly, Kazuki thought, referred to Heartsong as her. Never it. Most parents start thinking of names before their child is born. I suppose, but most parents don't piece their children together with their own two hands. I'd have thought that would only encourage you to think of a suitable name. You built it yourself. Isn't Heartsong good enough? It was during the early stages, but look at all the progress you've made. Kazuki gestured towards the doll, still lying sprawled on the floor. It was naked, its limbs so white and pale they almost seemed to glow. It doesn't look like a heart song anymore. It looks like a human. Worryingly human. As such, I think it needs a human name. Alright. You can be awfully persistent about the strangest of things. Yuichiro smiled. I guess that comes from being a father. Names are important, right? Names shape how others perceive your children. And I thought you said Heartsong was like a child to you. That's right. She hasn't opened her eyes yet, but I really do love her. My beloved child. Yuichiro's fingers hovered over the electrical switchboard. God. He was examining gauges and making a few last-minute alterations, but his instructions to the programming team had been precise. There was no margin for error. They could not allow this to be a failure. He would not. Heartsong was going to open her eyes today. She was going to live. And when she came into this world and suddenly knew how to touch and taste and smell and think and talk and feel, what name would she go by? I know. What about Aiko? It really worked? That's right, Ray. Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much, but I couldn't have done it on my own. Your dad deserves some praise, too. Ray giggled. Kazuki rarely saw Ray smile this much, certainly not on her own, and it warmed his heart. It made the meat and potato stew Itsuki had prepared for dinner even more delicious. You two worked really hard. Good job, Tad. Well, you know. Kazuki shrugged modestly. A job is a job. I need to work so you can eat. Ray poked the white rice in her bowl with the tips of her chopsticks. Being an adult sounds hard. It's not all bad. I mean, I essentially get paid to play with dolls all day. Very expensive dolls, which could bankrupt our company if not utilized correctly. Yuichiro laughed and carelessly waved his chopsticks with one hand. Details. That's right, dear. Don't be so down on yourself. You did something incredible today. You should celebrate. Is it really incredible? Kazuki frowned. Solar eclipses, shooting stars, and meteorites hurling from space were incredible. These natural phenomena that humans could not control, only observe, filled Kazuki with more awe than this silly little project. Playing God for the sake of CD sales. It all seemed so tawdry. Then again, Itsuki always said he was too serious. There was more to life than the stars in the sky. They were up there and he was down here, and while humans still lived on planet Earth and Mars was yet to be colonized, he might as well make the best of it. Kazuki had always been fond of space. In his youth, he'd had dreams of becoming an astronomer. Lyric isn't the first company to create a virtual idol. The market in Tokyo is jam-packed. Every other prefecture seems to have an idol of their own. That wasn't an exaggeration either. Just the other day, Kazuki had seen a virtual idol used to advertise a new brand of glass noodles on television. What are glass noodles? What? No, I need to look this up now. Hang on. What the heck are glass noodles? A type of transparent noodle made from starch and water. I have never heard of that before. The virtual idol market wasn't new. It had been around for a good 5 years already, and there were numerous popular and not so popular virtual idols who consistently made it into the Oricon charts. Most of these idols had been developed in Tokyo. Lyric had started to invest in virtual idol technology a little too late. But Yuichiro remained unfailingly positive, as always. We might not be the first, but no other company has perfected the art like we have. You're awfully confident. I have every right to be confident. We've made leaps and bounds, Kazuki. We'll revolutionize the world. I'm glad my husband works with you, Yuichiro. Itsuki laughed, holding one hand against her cheek. He's always been such a hard worker, but he lacks ambition. His head is in the clouds. Or stars, as it were. He needs somebody to yank him back to Earth. I am not a child, Itsuki. You act like it sometimes, dear. You're so surly. I don't think anybody could stay surly if exposed to Aiko for too long. She's like... Yuichiro gesticulated for effect. No words came to him. Words were lost. Her large, round eyes, her soft, sweet smile, her gentle, polite style of speech. She was going to be a star. Even Rei seemed to realize there was something special about Aiko. Yuichiro had been to the Himura household for dinner several times since the beginning of the Heart Song project, and he had talked to Rei earnestly about Aiko's creation. He knew he wasn't supposed to. It was, after all, top secret. But Rei was Kazuki's daughter, and she had been sworn to secrecy. Yuichiro trusted her. She was such a funny, serious little thing, Yuichiro couldn't imagine her going back on a promise. Aiko sounds amazing. I wish I could see her someday. I wish you could see her too. She's a real work of art. But even if you can't see her, you should be able to hear her. I can? That's right. We didn't make her so we could keep her locked away in the lyric labs and stare at her. She's supposed to be an idol. Idols exist to sing. She's going to use her voice to bring hope to others. That sounds incredible. Don't let yourself get taken in, Rei. He's getting carried away. But I can't help myself. Aiko's going to be something special. I know it. Do you mean it? I mean it. I promise. Yuichiro was right, too. Aiko's popularity skyrocketed within weeks of releasing her first single. Oh my god, I cannot talk tonight. Contrary to Kazuki's pessimism, Aiko was not relegated to the sale of glass noodles like some of her other, less fortunate contemporaries. Aiko was not perfect, as Kazuki already knew, but that made the general public fawn over her all the more. Aiko, with her funny, antiquated way of speech, her slightly awkward manner of composing herself, and the way her cheeks flushed whenever she was asked a difficult question during an interview, was unimaginably endearing. The other virtual idols, manufactured by larger companies in Tokyo, might have been prettier and more professional than Aiko, but there was something coldly precise about them. Like instruments in a hospital, they were more than sufficient at doing their job, but their job was all they could do. They hadn't been created for any purpose other than singing, dancing, and looking attractive. They had no real personality. They weren't people. They were machines. Perfect, yes, but lacking in heart. Aiko, meanwhile, seemed to ooze natural charm, like any other regular girl. But Aiko was not a regular girl. She might have managed to fool the nation, but she couldn't fool Kazuki. Kazuki had been there during the process of her creation, and he knew better than anyone that the much-beloved Aiko was nothing more than a doll. She had what appeared to be a personality, thanks to Yuichiro's clever fingers and diligent work, but it was all a lie. An elaborate sham. At least, that was what Kazuki told himself. But as time wore on, it grew harder and harder to convince even himself. It was impossible not to love Aiko. Hey, Ray, did you have a good day? Ray always responded like that, but she rarely smiled. Not properly. Her smiles failed to light up her eyes. What were you studying? Anything interesting? The classics. Mom talked to me a bit about the tale of Genji. I remember studying that in school. Do you like it? It was rather dramatic. It would probably make a good TV series. Speaking of which, Ray was curled up on the couch, a cushion in her lap. There was a half-eaten orange sitting on the table, its skin neatly peeled away. Every once in a while, Ray would reach forward and pop a segment of orange into her mouth. The TV was turned on, buzzing away in the background. What are you listening to? It's a show about idols. They were doing a feature on Aiko. Aiko, Kazuki frowned. One would have thought Aiko's immense popularity would have made him happier. But it didn't. Though Lyric had given Kazuki a generous raise, and his quality of life had improved, it didn't seem to make much of a difference. It wasn't enough to help Ray. His little girl still couldn't see. Her eyes were useless, and that would never change. There were operations, but they were too costly and the risk was too high. Kazuki and Itsuki had talked about it at length, but it was too improbable. Dude. Your daughter's blind, it's not the end of the world. Nothing more than a dream. Like the title of the Aiko track playing on the TV program. Just a dream. You like Aiko a lot, don't you, Ray? I love her. Ray answered without hesitation. Her voice is so melodic. Listening to her always makes me happy. Well, thanks very much. Our team tried hard. I know, but I think Aiko tries hard too. She seems very earnest. She's just a robot, Ray. She acts that way because she's programmed to. I would know. Ray frowned, her eyebrows furrowed. I think there's more to Aiko than that. I listened to a lot of her interviews. She sounds like an ordinary girl. She sounds like me. Ray reached for another piece of orange. Here, let me help you. Kazuki, always eager to aid his daughter, took a segment of orange for Ray and placed it into her palm. Clearly, she is capable of getting it on her own. The way Ray's parents treat her pisses me off. She's blind, she's not incapable. Thank you. That was what Ray said, but she didn't sound very thankful. Like, maybe if y'all quit babying her so much, she would actually be able to do things on her own. She sighed. I guess Aiko isn't that much like me after all. Well, no. She's a robot. You're a person. I don't mean it like that. She seems so nice and normal, but I'm weird. Don't be silly, Ray. There's nothing weird about you. Then why can't I go to school? Why do I have to stay at home all day? Ray didn't raise her voice. It was soft, as always, and did not sound particularly accusatory. But that only hurt more. Kazuki winced. You know why, Ray? Because I'm blind. The local schools don't have the resources to accommodate you. Your mother and I did check, Ray. I promise we checked, but we just wouldn't feel comfortable sending you there. So you would prefer me to stay at home without any friends? Ray sighed. She looked at her lap with her sightless eyes, her fingers resting limply against her knees. I'm not trying to blame you. I know you're doing this for my sake, and I appreciate it, but what's going to happen when I get older? You're not going to be here forever. and my condition won't go away. I need to learn how to look after myself. See? She gets it! Look, Ray. I just got home from work and I'm tired. I don't know if this is the best time for this conversation. It never is. Ray reached forward to take another segment of orange. Here, let me... It's alright, Dad. I can do it myself. Ray brushed Kazuki's fingers to one side and plucked a segment of orange from the main body of the fruit with her fingers. She popped the piece of fruit into her mouth and chewed for a few moments. When she swallowed, her expression was set. It looked like she'd come to some kind of conclusion. I was just thinking, it's alright if I can't ever go to school, and I don't mind not talking to girls my age. I've spent most of my life at home, and I probably wouldn't know what to talk about. I don't know anything about boys or hair or makeup, and I don't keep up with TV dramas or do any sports. The only thing I really like is idols. So I was thinking, if I can't go to school, then I want to become an idol. An idol? Our little girl? That's right, she was quite insistent. I've never seen her ask for something so passionately before. Well, I am very glad she's found something she cares about. But being an idol? Itsuki sat at the kitchen table, her head pressed in her hands. It looked like she was trying to ward off a headache. She can't even go to school, Kazuki. How on earth can she perform to thousands and thousands of people on a stage? Ugh. I also said that, but Ray didn't listen. She usually listens. I know, I was surprised too, but like I said, she wasn't acting like the usual Ray. Kazuki frowned and ran a hand through his hair. The Ray he had spoken to earlier had been almost like a different girl. Her eyes, framed by long lashes, had been narrowed, and her little fingers even clenched into fists. Her eyes swam with determination. I know you'll probably say no, and I can understand why, but I've never wanted anything more in my life. I want to share my voice with other people. I want to give them hope. I just want my life to mean something. I just don't want to spend my whole life locked up inside this house. When Ray spoke like that, how could Kazuki have refused? His tongue had frozen in his mouth, his lips pursed in shocked silence. Try though he might, no sound came out. He couldn't think of a thing to say. Even now, some 3 hours later, with Ray up in her bedroom listening to music, he still didn't know what to say. I think it might be good for her, Itsuki. What do you mean? How could this be good for her? She'll be in danger, Kazuki. Not everything in this world seeks to harm our daughter, you know? I know, but she's not well enough. Being an idol is too much pressure. Being an idol would be stressful for any girl, no matter their condition. She might be blind, but Ray doesn't let that hold her back. The only ones holding her back are us. Yeah. Kazuki, I'm only suggesting this to you, Itsuki, because I think it will be good for her. I was giving it some thought, and she is right. She can't stay at home forever. We can't coddle her, and she doesn't want to be coddled either. Well, maybe I am too protective, but can you blame me? Of course I don't blame you. Ray doesn't blame you either. Aiko was so successful, Lyric's budget for recruiting other idols has increased. They'll be starting auditions soon. Maybe we could send in an application form for Ray. We could, but... Oh, Kazuki, it's so sudden. Letting go of our children is never easy, but most parents have to deal with this far sooner than we have. Ray's been in our sights this whole time. We should let her spread her wings. When you put it like that, I feel like it would be cruel to deny her the chance, but... Are you really doing this for Ray's sake? I wonder. Kazuki pondered, one hand beneath his chin. I do want to make our daughter happy, but I can't deny I have a bit of a stubborn streak, too. What do you mean, dear? I mean, I know that our little girl is more talented than Aiko. After all, Aiko's just a robot. I want Rei to become the most popular idol there is. She deserves it. Himura Rei, was it? Lyric's president pondered, glancing at Kazuki from behind the lenses of his glasses. Kazuki shivered. Lyric's president was an imposing man, despite being on the wrong side of 50. His each and every word made Kazuki feel like shards of ice were being inserted beneath his skin. Still, he had to try and maintain his composure. He hadn't done anything wrong. There was no rule that said children of Lyric employees couldn't become idols, and Rei had blown everybody away during her audition. She had even shocked Kazuki, and he was her own father. She was small and slight, but Rei had quite the set of lungs on her. Kazuki had felt particularly proud when he'd seen Kitamura Ryoichi, that obnoxious playboy who'd never learned how to grow up, get misty-eyed. Rei was good. There was no doubt about it. Better than good, in fact. She was out of this world. It seems Mr. Kitamura over in the PR department was quite taken by her performance. He couldn't recommend her highly enough. Thank you. I'm very grateful. It is quite curious that, out of the 28 girls who auditioned, Miss Himura was the most highly praised, despite the fact she has never received any formal vocal training. I wonder. The president's eyes flashed. I hope no underhanded dealings were afoot. Of course not, sir. I would never... Shush. The president held one hand in the air, signaling for silence. I know, Himura, you don't need to sound so defensive. You've been a model employee during your time at Lyric, and you serve as a fine example to us all. I didn't expect your own daughter to apply for a position as an idol within our company, but stranger things have happened. However, there are 1 or 2 points of concern. Your daughter is blind, is she not? Right, that's right. If she truly wishes to be an idol, this would be quite the handicap. It would make performing difficult. But not impossible. Not impossible, no. Not if she's willing to work hard. I can assure you, sir, my daughter is a very hard-working girl. She won't let you down. Well, you would say that. Rei is your daughter. I fear you might be biased. You can ask Ryoichi for his opinion. He had nothing but praise for her. I don't particularly respect Kitamura's opinion, but it is rare for him to sound so earnest. Tell you what, let us make a deal. A deal? That's right. I will agree to sign your Rei up to Lyric on one condition. Following her debut, Rei will have 1 year to try and amass a following. If she is unable to shift a significant amount of CDs during her career, she will be considered a liability and taken off the record. Kazuki breathed in slowly, then out again. That condition wasn't too bad. It was more or less similar to the waivers other beginner idols had to sign. If an idol couldn't make enough sales, the company would cease to support them. That was Business 101. Right, I understand, sir. But the president held up his hand once more. He hadn't finished yet. If, during this year, her sales figure managed to surpass those of our most popular performer, that is to say, Aiko, then we at Lyric will offer you a reward. Let's call it a form of compensation for your many years of hard work. Oh? And what's that? The president's smile grew wider still. The company will pay for her to have her eyesight corrected. Free of charge, of course. Bruh! So, you have the world's shittiest villain motivation, that being to cure a disability, not even your own. It's for somebody else. She's fine. She's fine. God. Kazuki stared. He didn't know what he'd expected, but he hadn't expected that. He had looked into eye surgery with Itsuki, but the prices were exorbitant. Technology had progressed in leaps and bounds over the last decade, but restoring sight to somebody who had been born without the ability to see was a tricky science. Only truly wealthy people could afford such surgery, so and it's not even like she could see and then she lost it. She's never been able to see. This is the life that she's always known. It's... If you speak to, like, not any, but a lot of real-life blind people and, like, visually impaired people do not want to cure it. Like, there is a community in this. People see it as a part of who they are. It's... If you get it, you get it. Are you being serious? Of course I'm being serious, Himura. We're talking about your only daughter's welfare. I wouldn't make light of this. If your daughter surpasses Aiko's level of popularity within a year, she will be able to regain her eyesight. You can't say regain if she never had it to begin with! What do you think about that? I do not like you. I do not like you one bit. So you see, that was why I did it. Kazuki sighs and presses his fingers against his temples. It looks like he has a headache. He reclines on a chair in his office, staring at us from behind his desk. Though his office is undoubtedly fancy, furnished with an expensive rug and numerous potted plants, it still looks lonely. Barren. Empty. The handful of photographs displayed on his desk do little to alleviate the gloom. Instead, they make it worse. In every single one of those photographs is a face I know well. It's a face that's been on TV numerous times during the last 6 months, and a face I myself saw in person during the handshake event at the AIdol Fest. Himura Rei. A 3-year-old Rei in a white summer dress holding a slice of watermelon. An 8-year-old Rei at a festival wearing a showy yukata with her hair pinned up. An 11-year-old Rei standing next to a pretty lady, presumably her mother, by Odawara Castle. My voice is getting bad. A 14-year-old Rei wearing the costume she wore at her debut concert, white taffeta with fairy wings. This office is almost like a shrine to Himura Rei, the quiet, mild-mannered idol who managed to capture the hearts of people all across Japan with her tragic backstory. Rei is popular. Nobody would dispute that. But she isn't as popular as Aiko. Nobody is as popular as Aiko. I know what I did was terrible, especially to you, Yuichiro. I knew how much you cared about Aiko, but still. You tampered with her files. That's right. You're the reason her data has been deteriorating. It's true. And you Yuichiro's chest rises and falls with ill-suppressed emotion. You're the one who framed me. Kazuki bows his head. He doesn't even try to fight back. Somehow, this makes him seem even more pathetic. Numerous images of Rei stare at him, their sightless eyes judging. Poor Rei. Yuichiro shakes his head. He looks despondent. She was always such a good girl, and she really did love Aiko. I think she loved Aiko even more than I did. I know that. I know how much she loves her. She was devastated when she heard the news this morning, but what else could I do? It was for her sake. Did you ask her if she wants this? Was it, though? What do you mean? You didn't need to tamper with Aiko's files, Kazuki. You should have had faith in your daughter. Yuichiro slams the palm of his hand against Kazuki's desk. The numerous photographs of Rei jump. You were always the one talking about how real idols, flesh and blood humans, were superior to robots. If you truly believed that, you should have believed in Rei. You should have believed she would surpass Aiko through her own merits, not your underhanded meddling. I know that. Don't you think I didn't know that? Then why did you do it? Because I knew she wouldn't make it. It's not a matter of who's better. I think Rei's voice is far superior to Aiko's, and I'd still believe that even if she wasn't my daughter. Rei can't be compared. She's incredible, but just because I think Rei's better doesn't mean everybody else will. Surpass Aiko? How could she? Aiko's one of the most popular idols in Japan. For Rei's sake, for her to regain her eyesight. Once again, you cannot say regain if she never had it in the first place. This was the only way. I didn't want to hurt you, Yuichiro. I didn't want to damage your reputation. I didn't want to ruin your career. I didn't want to hurt Aiko. I know better than anyone just how hard you worked on her. That's right, Aiko, my beloved child. Yuichiro glances at the photographs of Rei displayed around Kazuki's office. The photographs are lined up together in ascending order, from the youngest Rei to the oldest, almost like Russian matryoshka dolls. Na, na, na. A whole constellation of Himura Reis. I've never had a family. I've never had children. But, though it might sound foolish, Aiko really is like a daughter to me. I love her. I know you love her, but try to understand. How you feel about Aiko, it's the same way I feel about Rei. Rei is my precious daughter. She's my only daughter. Itsuki and I, we love her more than anything. She's dear to us, and she's been suffering this whole time. I want to help ease her pain. I want her to be able to see, and this is the only way. This is all I could do. This whole time, I was just trying to be a good father. If you were really trying to be a good father, you know what you would do? You would look into resources for blind children. You would look into support groups. You would help her connect with people, make friends, find community. You're not a good parent. You are not a good parent. Mr. Himura? So it wasn't just my imagination. There, in the corners of Mr. Himura's eyes, I can see something unmistakable. Tears. I don't care. He's crying. I don't care. Kazuki. Yuichiro frowns. He massages his temple with one hand. Is he trying to stave off a headache? I appreciate that you did all of this for your daughter, and I know how much you love her, but is this what Rei would have wanted? What? Kazuki sniffs. He removes his glasses and wipes his eyes with the back of his hand. I've never seen a grown man cry before. It's a strange experience. Actually, that isn't true. Dad's quite free with his emotions, and he always dissolves into tears when we watch Tokyo Story together. It's one of Dad's favorite movies, but it makes him bawl like a baby. But I know my dad. I've lived with him my whole life. He's family. Himura Kazuki, however, is not. He's a complete stranger. That makes everything feel slightly surreal. I might as well be an uninvited guest at a family funeral. What do you mean, Yuichiro? Of course Rei wants to be able to see. Why wouldn't she? You might think it goes without saying, but that's only from your perspective. Kazuki's brow furrows. Wouldn't everybody say the same? Perhaps, but Rei isn't everyone. She's your daughter. Did you tell Rei about this? Does she know what's happening behind the scenes? Kazuki shifts. He looks uncomfortable. Of course not. I told her the basic details. I said if she sold enough CDs, Lyric would use her earnings to help pay for her eye surgery. And was she happy about that? Of course she was happy. Why wouldn't she be happy? Are you sure? Think about it, Kazuki. Are you really, really sure? Well, she didn't look that enthused, but Rei is rarely enthused about anything. She didn't object to it. I'm going to throw this man out these big-ass windows. Let me guess. She nodded her head and said, Actually, she nodded her head and said, okay. That's just a matter of semantics. Rei wasn't as excited by this prospect as you had hoped, was she? Not entirely, but that's just how she is. She's humble and polite. She doesn't ask when she wants things, and she accepts everything Itsuki and I say. She's a good, obedient girl. I am going to punch you in the face, old man. Except when she wanted to be an idol, right? Yes, she was unusually insistent about that. Then I think the truth is plain, even if you remain blind to it. What truth? Rei has been blind ever since she was born. She's had ample time to get used to her condition, but you and Itsuki still can't accept it. It's understandable, of course. You love your daughter and you don't want her to be disadvantaged. I love Rei too. She's a very sweet girl, and it's sad she was born without her eyesight, but that is part of who Rei is. Exactly! She's accustomed to it. Not being able to see doesn't make her any less of a healthy, happy human being. I never once suggested that. I don't think Rei is inferior because she's blind, but I think being able to see would make her life a lot easier. I don't deny it would make her life easier. That may be so. But Rei is stronger than you think. She was able to become an idol despite her condition, wasn't she? That's true. She has quite a stubborn streak. I wonder who she inherits it from. Come now, Itsuki is far, far more stubborn than I am. But you were the one who refused to warm to Aiko, though you worked on her for almost 2 years. Kazuki pulls a face. He looks like he's just bitten into a lemon. You still don't like Aiko, do you? That's why you were able to cause her so much pain. I hardly caused her pain. She's just a doll. That isn't true. Hana. Heh, she really is a little spitfire. I like her fighting spirit. Just don't make any advances on her, Ryoichi. I'm watching you. Yes, ma'am. Everybody's looking at me. They're staring. What should I do? I flush, my cheeks turning pink, and drop my gaze to the floor. This always happens when I start speaking my mind. I get unusually fired up, and then I say all sorts of ridiculous things without thinking, and everybody looks at me like some sort of alien invader. Well, they're already looking. I'm only a teenage girl, but I managed to get their attention. Everybody here is older than me, and maybe I don't know very much about the inner workings of Lyric, and I certainly don't know anything about Kazuki or Rei, but I do know a lot about Aiko. That's a subject I'm very familiar with. Aiko, isn't a doll.
You'd say that to a person who programmed her?
That's right! Aiko might be a robot, but she's much, much more than that.
And what do you know about Aiko, young girl?
She's important to me. Her songs have touched my heart. I used to be really shy and retiring. I still am. I get good grades, but I don't have any real dreams for the future. I don't know what I want to do. But Aiko grounds me. She's not the flashiest idol out there, but she's comforting. Like, white rice, I guess?
You'd compare Lyric's top idol to a bowl of rice?
Well, I suppose she has a point. I'm not very good at similes. But what I was trying to say is, Aiko, she's really important. She might be a robot, but she acts like an ordinary girl. She gets tongue-tied in her interviews, and sometimes she gets her dance steps wrong, and she even messes up her words on stage. But that makes her special. She's not perfect, but that makes her human. She might be a robot, but she's not just a doll. She's much, much more than that. She inspires people. Isn't that why Ray likes her so much?
Kazuki blinks. His eyes are wide. Did I manage to score a critical hit? Using his daughter as a bargaining chip feels a little cheap, but I did meet Ray at that handshake session, and I remember how excited she was. It even says it on Ray's profile at the Lyric website. It's listed beneath the section about her favorite things. Aiko is number 1.
Ray loves Aiko, right? Aiko's the reason Ray decided to become an idol in the first place. Mr. Himura, if your daughter knew you were the one who had caused Aiko such problems, how do you think she would feel? I can't pretend I understand the situation, but I wouldn't be surprised if it broke her heart, just like it's breaking mine.
Whew, I don't know how much is left, but, my throat needs a break. So, we're gonna call it here for now, and the next episode will probably be the last one. So, I'll see you guys next time.